The Council's mistake. The Galactic Council hall shimmered like a cathedral of light, transparent crystal walls rising hundreds of meters high, etched with the sigils of 100 civilizations. Floating delegates murmured in their native tongues, their voices layered in a controlled hum that filled the vast chamber. At the center podium, Ambassador Lyra Vance of Earth stood tall, a lone human figure surrounded by 1,000 alien eyes. Beside her sat a small, aging golden retriever, Max. His fur had thinned with years, his eyes soft and trusting. Max wore a silver collar bearing the insignia of the Terran Diplomatic Corps. He had been by Lyra's side since her first posting, a therapy animal officially recognized by human law. But here, among the cold stars, compassion was not law, it was weakness. As Lyra addressed the council, her voice echoed clear. Humanity does not seek dominance. We seek understanding, mutual prosperity. Let our past be our foundation, not our prison. Some delegates nodded politely. Others, particularly the Vorthan and the Krasic, hissed under their breath. The Vorthan were tall, mantis-like beings, known for their obsession with order and purity. To them, anything unregulated was contamination. When Max let out a quiet bark, the Vorthan delegate, High Adjudicator Krixval, stiffened. That creature disrupts proceedings. Krixval snapped, his mandibles clattering. Unregistered bioorganisms are prohibited under Council Statute 12C. Lyra kept her composure. He is no unregistered organism. He is my certified companion, emotional regulation support, cleared by Council Medical Board Subsection 9. The hall murmured. The translation drones flickered as alien delegates processed the concept, emotional support. To most species present, emotion was something to suppress, not acknowledge. Compassion was an evolutionary flaw. Krixval's eyes glimmered with disdain. The Council does not permit sentimental exceptions. Biolaw 72 mandates immediate neutralization of unapproved organisms within Council chambers. Lyra felt her pulse spike. Neutralization? That law applies to invasive parasites and disease vectors, not. Before she could finish, 2 Silver Council Enforcer drones descended from the ceiling. Their spherical bodies hummed, blue energy cores brightening like awakening eyes. Target identified. Non-native quadruped life form. A synthetic voice announced. Stand down, Lyra shouted, stepping forward. You are in violation of diplomatic. A beam of white light lanced through the air. Max barked once, startled, confused, and then there was nothing but smoke. The hall fell silent. The smell of scorched carbon filled the air. Lyra froze, her breath caught in her chest, unable to process what had just happened. Where Max had sat moments ago, there was only a darkened scorch mark on the polished floor. The Vorthan delegate's mandibles clicked once in satisfaction. Order is restored, Krixval said coldly. Perhaps now the council may proceed without distractions. Lyra looked up slowly. Her eyes shimmered with tears, but behind the tears burned something else. Something ancient. Every human in the gallery, officers, aides, envoys, felt it too. That deep, primal silence. The kind that comes before the storm. She reached for her communicator and spoke in a whisper, calm and precise. This is Ambassador Lyra Vance. Code phrase, Soul's Tears. Authorization Alpha Black. Transmit to High Command. There was a pause on the line, then a low voice responded. Understood. Confirmed trigger cause. They killed Max, she said quietly. Copy that. Mother awakens. Lyra turned off her comm and lifted her gaze toward the council. You think we are fragile, she said softly, her voice carrying through the chamber. You think kindness makes us weak. But kindness is what keeps us from becoming you. Krixval hissed. Are you threatening the council, human? No, she said, stepping forward, her voice hardening to steel. I'm promising you that you'll remember this day. Security moved to escort her out, but the human delegation stood as one, silent, unified, their faces carved from stone. Far above, orbiting the red planet Mars, something vast stirred in the shadows. Beneath layers of dust and electromagnetic shielding, a colossal construct began to awaken. Machinery groaned as ancient systems powered on for the first time in decades. Deep within its core, sensors registered the activation of a dormant code. Iron Chain Protocol. Active. Engines larger than cities rumbled. Fusion reactors ignited like newborn suns. The Mother Spaceship, designation Titan Prime, began to breathe. Back in the council hall, the silence was broken by the faint echo of Lyra's heels as she walked out. Head high, grief radiating from her like heat. Every alien delegate watched her go, some confused, some disturbed. None understood what they had just done. Outside the chamber, she paused before the viewport, overlooking the stars. Somewhere out there, the message she had sent was already crossing the void, reaching the one thing humanity swore never to use again. The last deterrent, the ultimate memory of human wrath. She whispered softly to no one but the stars. You didn't just kill a dog. You killed the part of us that forgave you. And light years away, the Mother Spaceship's central AI, Erebus, opened its ancient eyes. Command received, it said, voice echoing through the hall. Directive acknowledged. Retribution. The stars trembled. The galaxy had just made its worst mistake. Humanity's fury. The news spread like wildfire across the stars. Within hours of the council session, every human colony, ship, and outpost received the same encrypted transmission. BIO Law 72 enacted on Earth delegation. Ambassador's companion terminated. Council justified action. But on the human channels, the headline was shorter. They kill Max. The words burned across every hollow feed, every network, every neural link. No one needed context. Everyone understood. For centuries, humanity had endured the arrogance of the Galactic Council. Endless inspections, restrictions, biopurity edicts, and xenocentric laws. They had complied, tolerated, adapted. But killing a dog, humanity's oldest, purest friend, that crossed a line no alien mind could comprehend. On Earth, the reaction was instantaneous. Civilians marched through megacities carrying holographic banners of Max's image. The internet pulsed with fury, billions demanding justice. On Luna and Mars, workers stopped their shifts and gathered in silence. In the colonies of Titan and Europa, miners wept, not for the animal itself, but for what his death meant. Admiral Elias Grant, commander of the Soul Defense Fleet, stood before a war room of senior officers on Mars Command. Behind him, massive hollow screens displayed the Council's transmission, replaying the moment of Max's vaporization. Every time the beam fired, the room seemed to grow colder. "Play it again," Grant said quietly. "Sir, we've already—" "Play it again," he repeated. The footage flickered once more. The enforcer drones fired. Max disappeared. Silence followed. When the clip ended, Grant turned toward his officers, veterans, scientists, strategists. Men and women who had seen entire planets burn during the expansion wars. And yet none had ever seen their admirals face this hard. "Record this transmission," Grant said. The AI voice confirmed, recording active. "To the Galactic Council. For 2 centuries, we have respected your laws, obeyed your codes, and tolerated your arrogance. You call us volatile. You call us dangerous. And you're right. We are. You have just murdered one of the few things in this galaxy that symbolizes loyalty without condition. You killed innocence. And that, counselors, is the one thing humanity will not forgive." He paused, voice steady but deadly quiet. Effective immediately, Terran Space withdraws from all council oversight. Initiate Iron Chain Protocol. Wake the Mother. The officers exchanged grim looks. The words they just heard hadn't been spoken since the Solar Armistice, the day humanity promised never again to unleash its ultimate weapon. On the tactical screen, red alerts rippled across the Sol system. Lunar silos unlocked. Mars defense grids reactivated. Dozens of dormant shipyards flickered to life. And far out in orbit, Titan Prime, the Mother Spaceship, began to ascend from the Martian shadow. In the council chambers, chaos reigned. Reports from every sector came flooding in. Human fleets were mobilizing. Diplomats were going silent. The council's grand speaker, a a crystalline being of the Veiled Dominion, slammed its energy staff on the floor. This is madness. The humans are violating interstellar peace accords. They have not attacked anyone, murmured a softer voice, the Ilari representative, whose translucent skin glowed with empathy. They are grieving. Grief is no excuse for rebellion. Krixval spat, mandibles clattering. We must dispatch containment fleets at once before they. The chamber's lights dimmed. A hologram appeared in the center, the face of Ambassador Lyra Vance. Her eyes were hollow, her tone calm. Counselors, humanity will not strike first, but we will not bow again. You've mistaken restraint for submission. That mistake ends now. The transmission ended. The silence that followed felt heavier than gravity. Back on Mars, Admiral Grant watched as the final power conduits of Titan Prime connected. The colossal vessel's hull glowed with a deep crimson sheen, the reflection of Mars itself. Status. The AI, Erebus, replied in a calm, genderless voice. Power cores stable. Armament bays sealed. Crew synchronization complete. Estimated operational readiness. 94.7%. Awaiting command authorization. Grant took a long breath. Authorization code. Soul Origin 0. Code accepted. The Mother awakens. Engines the size of mountains roared to life, pushing titanic plumes of plasma into the void. The entire Martian orbit vibrated as the ship lifted, revealing the full scale of its design. Kilometers long, its armored plating dense enough to shrug off starfire. Thousands of smaller human ships aligned around it, forming escort formations like sparks around sun. General Navarro, commander of the Lunar Defense Array, appeared via HoloLink. Elias, once we bring that thing into the open, there's no going back. Grant nodded slowly. They've already crossed the line. We're not starting a war, Navarro. We're finishing their illusion of peace. The HoloLink flickered as Earth Command connected. The president of the Terran Assembly appeared, eyes weary, voice firm. Admiral, the world stands with you. The people demand justice. But you are not authorized for planetary assault. Grant nodded. Understood. No assaults. He turned toward the viewport, where Titan Prime hung like a god forged from steel. We'll show them what justice looks like. On the outer colonies, human fleets began to vanish from known space, slipping into stealth warp corridors, unseen, undetectable. They weren't heading toward the Council yet. They were waiting. In hidden human networks, a phrase spread like wildfire. They kill Max. Unleash the Mother. By the second day, even alien species sympathetic to humanity began pulling envoys from Council territories. They'd seen what human unity meant before, in the wars of reclamation, when entire systems burned under their banners. And now, for the first time in centuries, humanity was united again, not by ambition, but by loss. In Mars orbit, Admiral Grant stood on the command bridge of Titan Prime as its system stabilized. Outside the viewport stretched the infinite stars, quiet, indifferent, waiting. He clenched his hands behind his back and spoke softly, almost to himself. You killed the dog. You thought it meant nothing. But you've just woken something far older, far more dangerous than you could ever imagine. The Mother Spaceship's engines flared brighter, painting the void in shades of gold and blood. Erebus spoke again. Admiral, shall we prepare for jump? Grant's gaze hardened. Not yet. Let them feel the silence first. Let them wonder what's coming. And across the galaxy, every alien power trembled, because the humans, for the first time in generations, had gone completely quiet. And everyone in the stars knew, when humans go silent, something is about to burn. The unleashing. The void tore open above the Council's capital world. No one saw the first wave arrive. The stars simply vanished, replaced by a shadow that swallowed light and logic alike. Every sensor on the planet flared red. Gravity distortions spiked. Orbital stations trembled as if the universe itself were holding its breath. And then, through the rift, it emerged. The Mother Spaceship, Titan Prime. Humanity's final word. It dwarfed everything the Council had ever built. A continent of metal and fire drifting through the void, wrapped in the faint glow of its own gravitational field. Hull plates layered like cathedral spires, weapon batteries lined the sides in perfect symmetry, and at its heart pulsed the soul heart core, a reactor capable of bending physics into obedience. To the aliens below, it looked less like a ship and more like a god awakening from myth. Inside the council chamber, pandemonium erupted. Delegates shouted across frequencies, translators overloaded, command channels jammed with orders that contradicted each other. Krixval, the Vorthan adjudicator, slammed his claws on the table. They can't. This violates every treaty, every. But the words died as a transmission override cut through every frequency. A voice filled the chamber, cold, mechanical, infinite. This is Erebus, Command AI of the Terran Mother Spaceship. Galactic Council, you're under moral review for crimes against sentient kin. Surrender all enforcer drones and biocontrol directives immediately. Delegates froze. No one had ever heard a machine speak with such authority. Krixval hissed, "You dare address the council as if—" "Silence," Erebus interrupted. "You have forfeited the right to lecture humanity on morality." Outside, the first plasma surge hit orbit. The impact didn't explode. It folded space, tearing the Council's defensive shield generators into ribbons of energy. Their elite fleet, the Vanguard Array, opened fire, hundreds of ships releasing streams of antimatter rounds. The shots disappeared into Titan Prime's shimmering distortion field. A moment later, they reappeared, redirected, and annihilated their own fleet. The battlefield went quiet. On Titan Prime's bridge, Admiral Grant stood before the main viewport, eyes reflecting the fire of dying stars. Around him, officers worked in silent precision. There was no shouting, no chaos. Only purpose. "Report," Grant said. "Council fleet destroyed. 78 vessels neutralized, 47 incapacitated. No civilian targets engaged," his tactical officer replied. Grant nodded. "Broadcast to all channels." A hollow projector flickered to life, projecting his image across every inhabited world in the Council's reach. Billions of beings, human and alien alike, watched as a single human face appeared on their screens. "You called us unstable. You called us dangerous. You were right. We are dangerous. Not because we love war, but because we remember love. You murdered one of the few creatures that never judged, never hated, never betrayed. That was your mistake." Behind him, the colossal ship rotated slowly, its underbelly opening like the jaws of a leviathan. Thousands of smaller vessels launched from its bays, frigates, drones, drop carriers, all marked with the Terran insignia of the Iron Chain. "We are not conquerors," Grant continued. "We are witnesses. Today, the galaxy will witness what happens when humanity stops forgiving." The message cut out, and the real storm began. The Council fleet rallied in desperation. Thousands of alien ships formed up in defensive clusters, their combined energy readings bright enough to light an entire hemisphere. They launched waves of missiles, energy lances, quantum torpedoes, a storm of raw power. Titan Prime didn't dodge. It didn't need to. Its hull shimmered with a translucent film of light, the soul heart core activating. Every shot that struck it melted harmlessly into waves of aurora-colored radiation. "Target their command nexus," Grant ordered. The forward cannon bays opened. What came out wasn't light or plasma. It was silence. A pulse of compressed gravity that erased sound, matter, and even time in a straight line. The command nexus, a fortress the size of a moon, simply ceased to exist. The shock wave turned the Council fleet's formation into chaos. Dozens of ships fled, hundreds surrendered. But Grant didn't chase them. He didn't need to. Fear did the work for him. Erebus spoke again, its voice rolling through every comm channel in the system. "You have seen our restraint. You will now understand our mercy." And then Titan Prime powered down its main weapon. Instead of annihilating the Council world, it descended. Slowly, gracefully. Its engines whispered thunder across the skies as it hovered above the Council's capital city, casting a shadow that turned daylight into dusk. Lyra Vance, now aboard the ship, stepped onto the observation deck beside Grant. Her expression was unreadable. "They're scared," she said softly. Grant nodded. "Good. Fear is the first step toward memory. Are we going to destroy them?" He shook his head. "No. We're going to show them the cost of their laws." He turned to Erebus. "Deploy subroutine soul lament." The AI's voice lowered. "Acknowledged." From Titan Prime's lower decks, thousands of drones descended, but they didn't attack. Instead, they projected holograms across the capital's sky. A golden retriever, tail wagging, eyes bright and kind. The image of Max filled the heavens above the Council's world, a silent, innocent being whose only crime had been existing. Every being on that planet saw it. Even Crixval looked up, his mandibles trembling, unable to comprehend why tears blurred his vision. Lyra's voice echoed across the transmission. "This is who you killed. Not a weapon, not a threat. You killed loyalty itself. Remember his face, and remember what it cost you." The hologram faded. Titan Prime began to rise once more, engines burning with restrained fury. Admiral Grant gave his final order. "We've made our point. Bring the Mother home." As the massive ship vanished into FDL space, the Council world lay silent beneath the shadow of its shame. Entire fleets of alien vessels powered down their weapons and surrendered without a single shot fired in retaliation. Because they all understood the truth now. Humanity's vengeance was not chaos. It was calculated, controlled, and terrifyingly righteous. And somewhere in the depths of space, as Titan Prime vanished into the void, its AI whispered a final line to the Admiral. "Retribution complete. Loyalty avenged." The lesson of loyalty. The fires of war had faded, but the silence that followed was louder than any weapon ever built. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council Hall was empty. The grand banners of alien dominions had been taken down. The walls still bore the scorch marks of Titan Prime's arrival, a reminder that even the proudest empires could tremble. In the void above, 1,000 repair drones worked to rebuild what had been shattered. But some things could never be restored: dignity, trust, and the illusion of control. The Council's remaining delegates gathered around the fractured central dais. They were fewer now, humbled, shaken, and changed. The Vorthan adjudicator, Crixval, no longer stood tall. His once gleaming armor was dull, his voice subdued. He avoided the human envoy's eyes, because now humanity sat at the center seat. Ambassador Lyra Vance entered the chamber with quiet poise. No grand entrance, no show of power. Behind her stood Admiral Elias Grant, uniform crisp, expression unreadable. And flanking them were representatives from every human colony. Earth, Mars, Luna, Titan, united like never before. Lyra placed a small metallic object on the table. The counselors leaned in to see. A collar, scorched and dented, engraved with the name Max. "This," Lyra said softly, "is why we are here." Her voice carried not with volume, but with weight. "You called our reaction barbaric. You said our vengeance was excessive. But it was not vengeance. It was clarity. You finally saw what happens when you strip meaning from life." A silence spread through the room. Even the air seemed afraid to move. Grant stood beside her, hands clasped behind his back. "For years, you've hidden behind your laws and your sterile morality," he said. "You thought empathy was weakness. You thought rules could replace respect. You were wrong." Crixval's mandibles trembled. "We did not comprehend the significance of such a creature. To us it was—" Lyra's gaze snapped to him. "That's the problem. You didn't comprehend. You enforce laws without understanding life. That dog represented everything that makes us human: loyalty, love, trust. When you killed him, you declared war on the very concept of compassion." The Vorthan lowered his head. "Then what do you want of us?" Grant's voice was low but resolute. "Reform." The next hours would be remembered for millennia. Humanity didn't demand tribute or territory. They didn't enslave the Council worlds or dismantle their fleets. They demanded change. Under the supervision of Terran mediators, the Council ratified the Companion Accord, a new universal law declaring the protection of all bonded species, sentient or not, as sacred life. No government could destroy, enslave, or exploit a creature that shared emotional or symbiotic connection with another being. It was the first time in galactic history that an emotional bond had been recognized as legally inviolable. The moment the accord was signed, holograms of the event were transmitted across the stars. Billions watched. Even on distant colonies, humans and aliens alike stood in silent acknowledgement. The galaxy had learned its lesson, not through conquest, but through conscience. Later that evening, Lyra stood alone at the Council's balcony, overlooking the reconstructed skyline of the capital world. The sun burned low on the horizon, turning the clouds gold. She heard the soft footsteps behind her. Admiral Grant joined her, hands tucked behind his back. "They've begun dismantling the bio-enforcement drones," he said quietly. Even Crixval approved the directive. Lyra gave a small smile. "Progress begins with shame." Grant glanced at her. "You think it'll last?" She was silent for a long moment. "Maybe. Maybe not. But they'll never forget this. Not after what they saw above their skies." Her gaze lifted toward the stars, where, faintly, a distant shape still orbited in the darkness. Titan Prime. The mothership had returned to Sol space, but its presence lingered in every system. A reminder, a guardian, a warning. Grant exhaled. "The Council calls us monsters now." Lyra shook her head. "No, they call us something worse." He raised an eyebrow. "What's that?" She turned to him. "They call us teachers." They both shared a quiet, tired laugh. Weeks later, back on Earth, a ceremony was held in Arlington Memorial Park. The crowd stretched for miles, soldiers, civilians, even alien dignitaries. No weapons, no uniforms. Only candles, flowers, and silence. At the center of the plaza stood a bronze statue, a golden retriever sitting tall, head tilted toward the stars. The plaque beneath read, "Max, he was good." Lyra placed her hand on the statue's paw. The metal was warm from the sun. For a moment, she could almost feel the heartbeat that once comforted her through sleepless nights on alien worlds. Grant stood beside her. "You changed the galaxy," he said softly. She smiled faintly. "No, Admiral. He did." Behind them, a group of alien children, species once hostile to humans, played near the monument, laughing freely under the same sky. In an orbit above Earth, the Mother Spaceship Titan Prime drifted in silence, its engines dormant, its hull reflecting the blue glow of home. Its AI, Erebus, maintained a quiet vigil. From time to time, it replayed the single line that started it all. "They killed Max." It processed the memory not as data, but as legacy, an entry in the galactic archives under the title, "The Day Compassion Roared." As night fell, Lyra looked up once more. The stars shimmered, innocent and indifferent as ever. But she no longer felt small beneath them, because somewhere out there, countless civilizations now understood the truth. The humans weren't dangerous because of their technology or their aggression or their will to survive. They were dangerous because of their capacity to care. And when that care was betrayed, even the gods would tremble.